Hello, this is Mad Cat, and welcome to another edition of Dicks and Boobs Smash the Matriarchy. As always, I am Dix.
And I'm Boob. Sorry, delayed microphone.
Yeah, you have to hit the unmute in order to talk.
Always the professional.
I'm the woman, remember?
Yeah, I did see that memo.
Sorry, I forgot.
Anyways, we have a wonderful show planned for today. We also have a very special guest with us, Chechnya. Jen Chechnya. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself for our viewers who don't know you? And should.
I'm 28. I live in Modesto. I like long walks on the beach. I'm a tourist. I play guitar, bass. I also sing. I also have a YouTube channel. It's called Madman Ministries. It should be in the low bar. So yeah, check it out if you like heavy metal.
All right. And I do want to apologize to all of our viewers. This past Tuesday, our show was set to go live, even though I set it for Thursday. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I apologize that YouTube messed up. So that's why we weren't broadcasting on Tuesday. We were set to do it today. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started with our wonderful stories today. And we'll start with Dad lights up school as brainwashing center after son comes home with white privilege assignment. You know, when I read this title, I thought he set the school on fire. Because that's what I would do.
That would have been awesome.
Okay, I'm just kidding. I will not set a school on fire. No one sets schools on fire just because I said so.
Yeah, you're the FBI. No one's here is planning on setting anything on fire, be it public property or not.
Last week, Jason Schmidt's son came home from Aloha High School in Oregon with a head-turning English homework assignment. The assignment, titled White Privilege Survey, asked Schmidt's son to score himself based on the kind of white privilege he has. Schmidt provided a photo of the assignment to the Independent Journal Review. So let's take a quick look at this. So it's basically a score of 0, 3, and 5. You couldn't do just 1, 2, and 3. At least you could put 0 as a possibility. So I can be in the company of people of my race most of the time. Okay, there's a majority of white people in America. Why is that such a bad thing? If I should need to move, I can be pretty sure of a hassle-free renting and purchasing in my area in which I would want to live. That's not a question for a child. The decision to move or renting would not be up to a child.
What are you talking about? You saying there's not a lot of 10-year-olds going out there like renting apartments?
What did you say, Vanessa?
I said I can't even find a decent place to live around where I am. I'm surrounded by right now.
I'm sure there's plenty of 10-year-olds going out there renting apartments.
Yeah. Yeah. They're surrounded by like 10, 11. It's yeah. They're moving out in the world.
Moving on up.
Why not? They already have like smartphones and stuff.
I can be pretty sure that my neighbors in such a location will be neutral or pleasant to me. Well, not if they're old. Old people don't like young people. That's just been known since forever. I can go shopping alone most of the time, pretty well assured that I will not be followed or harassed. This day and age, children need to be supervised. Well, I guess since this is a high school, I guess he could go shopping by himself, but this whole thing is bullshit. I mean, I took the male privilege survey and scored a 23 on it.
Is that high?
It was actually low. It was out of 100.
Oh wow.
So my privilege is actually quite low, even though I'm a white male, which was actually
fucking a white male.
White and male.
I'm starting to think SCWs don't really see the difference between being white and being a male. Like,
They
if
really
anything,
don't.
yeah, if anything happens to you, like if you're a woman, if anything happens to you, it's because you're a woman. It has nothing to do because you're white. If something bad happens to you because if you're a black man, something bad happens to you, it's because you're black. If you're a gay man, something happens to you, it's because you're gay. Like, they just throw out any chance that something bad could happen to you because you're either white or because you're male. Like, nope, doesn't happen. That's why intersexual feminism is terrible.
I am never asked to speak for all the people of my racial group. Well, technically you are if you're taking a white privilege survey. You're being singled out for your race. And when we talk about all the problems that white people do, you are being singled out and forced to speak for your race. All right, let's continue reading. The survey asks the students to rate themselves from a 0 to a 5 on the worksheet. 0 means that it's never true for them, and 5 means that it's often true. Of course, the way they ask the questions, it's impossible to actually score a 0. Some of the questions include, and we've already gone through these. When Schmidt saw the assignment, he said, "My first thought was to read the questions. The questions were ridiculous and had no merit. So I reached out to the principal of Aloha High School, but I didn't receive a response. So I reached out to the media." Yeah, I'm amazed the media took off with this. He explained how he feels about the assignment. It's completely inappropriate use of the education system. This teacher is creating more division in her classroom by having the kids rate their white privilege. Also, it's not just about that. Now my son has to write a paper on male privilege.
This is real. What the fuck?
This survey is in itself racist. The questions are absurd. Comparative literature class is for reading texts, books, and poems from other cultures and learning more about them. There are more appropriate ways to spark critical thinking. Instead, this teacher decided to have kids feel awkward and not want to talk. I teach my children to love their neighbor. I also teach them that the world owes you nothing. If you want to make it in life, go out there and make it happen. Surround yourself with positive people to make your dreams become reality. Cowards are the ones who get jealous of others' successes and point fingers to why they don't have what their neighbor has.
I like this person.
And then he nailed the school for being a brainwashing center. The schools have defended the teacher, her teaching method, and the subjects.
Close.
Ignoring what I've already said about how our schools are failing academically, I feel they only care about turning our children into submissive group thinkers. Government schools have become nothing more than brainwash centers for group thought. Common Core and the feds teach to the lowest denominator. Who's making that noise? I'm so glad that my
fucking motorcycle.
I'm so glad that my other 3 children are being homeschooled and raised to be free thinkers. Which I have the question, if your other 3 children are being homeschooled, then why is your oldest son going to high school?
I don't know exactly, but like my neighbors, they used to be homeschooled, but like for like the last year, they actually went to high school. I think it has something to do with like getting into college or something.
That's probably a possibility. Or also, it's like children do need to socialize with other children. And while when they're younger, you can find other ways to do that, like, play dates and all of that. As they get older, they really need to be in an environment where they're with their peers, not around their parents. So that makes sense. But yeah, we are starting to see this. There have been news reports across the nation of classes teaching children, especially white children, that they are the problem with the world and it's their responsibility. And we're talking about children as young as 10. We've seen classes where they're trying to teach children not to rape. They're not even fully aware of their own sexuality, and they're being taught about consent and that they are potential rapists.
Do they even have like the talk about periods yet?
What's up?
The talk about periods and puberty before that, or do they just like go straight into the rape shit? Like that sounds fucked up.
I don't know. I don't know if they still. I imagine that they still talk about the puberty and stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow combined it into the same thing.
That'd be fucked up.
Ooh, we got people here. Hello, Mad Cat, Polaris 589. Make love to thy neighbor. I don't know who my neighbors are. I live far enough away from them that it's like I've never actually seen them.
I really wish I lived far away from my neighbors, but I still don't know who they are.
Yeah, going back to the article, I think most of those things have more to do with class than race. Like being followed around. Like if you're like middle class and you dress middle class, like I don't think people are gonna be following you around. Like I'm pretty sure they refer to like the undercover security people who are gonna like follow you around and like make sure you're not stealing. And like I used to do security at Walmart. Like I was at the front, I was at the entrance. I wasn't following people around, but I knew the guys who did follow people around. And like sometimes, like I was in uniform, so they knew I was security. And so sometimes some of the customers will walk up to me and ask me, say, "Hey, there's some weird guys following me around. Do you guys have like plainclothes security going around?" I'm like, "Yeah, we do." And so, and like she was like a white lady, a young white woman. So I'm pretty sure that lots of people get followed around. They just follow people around who they think are going to steal.
Yeah. And they follow blacks around. They follow whites around. Now, is it possible that they follow blacks around more often than whites? Yes, that's a possibility. Is it racist? You could make the argument that it is, but given that the majority of crimes is committed by blacks, well, here's one that I actually like on this. I was reading through this. Now, the son is supposed to fill this out. This was a homework assignment. So number 7, I can be sure that my children or children from my family will be given curricular materials that testify to the contributions of their race. Do they expect high schoolers to have children?
Hey, in some areas, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I
black
think
pussy
that
over here.
teacher found this online, made it into a worksheet, and gave it to their students without actually proofreading this, because most of this doesn't apply to a kid in high school. This is just laziness right here.
Yeah, the funny thing is, like number 7, they talk about the civil rights movement. They talk about Nat Turner. They talk about slavery. They talk about all sorts of stuff. So if you're black, then they're going to talk about like your contributions to society, what happened in your part of history. Like that would only be number 7 would only be I don't know if it would be an issue, but number 7 would be a thing if you come from like a place that doesn't really have much history in the United States. Like you're from like you're a Syrian or something. Like you're just from a country that doesn't have that much interaction with the United States. In that case, yeah, your ethnicity didn't contribute that much to the United States. Well,
that's also true, but I also like number what was it, 5? I can turn on the television or open to the front page of the newspaper. Are teens still reading newspapers? Do they still watch TV? This needs to be updated. Like, you can look at YouTube.
That's another thing, though. It's like, yeah, I can have all that if I. By the way, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I'm black. So anyway, I
actually did not know that. I thought you were white.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I could turn on the TV and see like my race represented if it was like a channel that was like, you know, broadcast in like some African country or Jamaica or something. Same thing with the newspaper. If I got like a Jamaican newspaper or like an African newspaper, you know, then my race would be represented. Like the race that's represented the most is like the majority race. So like they call this a privilege, but it's just you just happen to have more white people in America than other races. I don't see how that's a privilege. It's only a privilege if you're racist, and I'm not racist.
Apparently, the cat's name is named Kylo Ren. Lame.
Yes. Hey, Becky named it, not me.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. Our next article, which just makes me laugh. Teen launches petition to get Boy Scouts to open up to girls. Should girls be able to join the Boy Scouts program? A local girl is looking to make history by doing just that. Troop 414 in the East Village has welcomed her with open arms as an unofficial participant, but she can't join because it's only meant for boys.
Can I just say that I would be absolutely fucking happy with being able to participate in everything that whatever, you know, whatever any kind of group that to any gender, race, any whatever the fuck, I would be totally fucking grateful for them to let me participate in the shit without joining. I don't understand what the
well,
I don't know.
Well, we'll have to read more to find out what her issue is. Although Sydney, Ireland sounds like a great stripper name. I'm just saying. Sydney, Ireland is 15 and has been an unofficial member of the Cub Scouts, then Boy Scouts, with her big brother since she was 4. Again, unofficial without the same recognition or badges. Her big brother Brian is an Eagle Scout. He has his Eagle rank now, which is the highest award in the Boy Scouts, and I wasn't allowed to earn the same award of any of the merit badges he won and really be recognized by the Boy Scouts at all. She went as high as she could in the Cub Scouts because she wasn't permitted to continue, joined the South African Scouts, and then climbed all the way to the Canadian Scouts, achieving their highest rank. But she points out that there are great things that come with Eagle Scout honor in her own country, which I would presume is America.
She just travel to different countries and join their scout troops?
I guess so. Girls can't earn Eagle Scout rank, which has tremendous opportunities attached to it and job opportunities, scholarships that wouldn't be available otherwise. Except in the Girl Scouts! It is at change.org, and so far it has thousands of signatures from current and former Eagle Scouts, one of whom sent Sydney his 1978 badge and a letter of firm support. We all know that there are troops that want to allow girls just as there are troops that want to allow in boys regardless of sexual orientation. All we want to do is facilitate that, said Sydney's father, Gary. He wonders about the co-ed troops from other nations coming here for the upcoming International Jamboree hosted by the Boy Scouts. Are they going to exclude girls and young women from other nations, or are they going to just exclude our young women? It doesn't make any sense. Sydney says that he just wants the same training and chances to excel. Oh, she wants the same training and chances to excel, but is blocked only by her gender and the Boy Scouts 1916 charter. In 1916, women weren't even allowed to vote. We've come so far. Yeah, they were allowed to vote 1 year later. Seriously, women got the right to vote in 1917.
That's completely relevant to this conversation.
So, director of communications...
Women couldn't do stuff. So this is a thing we can't do, and this is obviously the same.
So the Boy Scouts of America Director of Communications, Effie Della Marcos, sounds Greek to me. We understand and appreciate that the values and lessons of scouting are attractive to the entire family. However, the Boy Scouts of America has worked carefully and diligently to design and deliver programs that meet the specific needs of a variety of young audiences. We serve boys and young men across the nations through the Cub Scouts and Boy Scout programs, which are a year-round program specifically for males in the first grade through age 18. We have since developed alternative programs that are co-ed, serving young men and young women, such as venturing and exploring, which are include activities and programs designed for broader groups.
Cool.
So I want to say something before the two of you start, because look, if there were no other options, then I'd be like, okay, you know, maybe they should make a Girl Scouts if they have a Boy Scouts, but the Girl Scouts already exist. She's talking about, you know, the prestige of, you know, having, you know, being an Eagle Scout. Well, Girl Scouts get the same exact thing with having a gold medal or a gold award. I did my research. They have gold, silver, and bronze. You know, that's the highest achievement you can earn with Girl Scouts. Now, is it reasonable that there are differences between the two? Yes, but you generally learn the same things from both. We need a Boy Scouts, and this is not about, you know, oh, I'm a sexist because I want a boys-only club, because we have a girls-only club. We need an environment because there really is nothing else out there where boys can just be around boys and not be around girls. It has been found that when boys are in an environment with just boys, they're more able to succeed, because especially in schools, there was a class that was just all boys. It was done as an experiment, and they found that the boys were getting higher grades because the curriculum was designated just for boys. They modified it for how males think and how they learn, and boys were excelling. But you put one girl in there, and it has to then be shifted so the girl can excel, so she can learn properly, and the boys are playing catch up because they don't think in the way that the curriculum is designed for girls. We need environments where boys can just be with boys, and what we're seeing now, especially from the feminist movement, is women trying to come in and say, no, you cannot have this place anymore. It has to cater to women now.
But women don't have to cater to men.
No, they don't.
Yeah, from what you said, it sounds like women's vagina parts drain men's brains out. Pause for laughter.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have a few brains stored up there for the winter.
But seriously, like, they should probably just like make some type of like heterogeneous group, call it the Scouts, instead of just being like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Just, you know, make a third category for or a third
Different
organization for both
that are integrated.
Yeah, but what she's complaining about, it seems like she wants the prestige and she wants the the accolades that go along with it, and it's going to be a while for a third group to get to that level of the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. That being said, if you're gonna let girls into the Boy Scouts, just let boys into Girl Scouts because it's ridiculous. Because like one time I was walking into Rayleigh's and there was these Boy Scouts at the front door trying to sell popcorn. Popcorn. I just shook my head and walked right in. There's nothing I can do for those poor bastards. There's only you could just like sell people popcorn when the Girl Scouts are selling cookies. Like they should join the Girl Scouts to sell cookies.
Well, you know what? Why would anyone want to join the Boy Scouts in all honesty? I mean, we're talking about an organization that's homophobic, that's very catering to religion, that you have to believe in God. And there have been incidents reported where some Eagle Scouts have lost their award, their actual status as an Eagle Scouts because they claimed they were an atheist. And the Girl Scouts, yeah, it's very homophobic. It's very Christian oriented. And that if you don't follow like a cookie cutter image of what a boy should be, they'll kick you out. The Girl Scouts, however, are very open-minded. They are very, well, they're not homophobic, first and foremost. They welcome the LGBT. They don't care about your religious practice.
Will they accept a trans woman, though?
I think they will.
Yes, that couldn't really.
So, I mean, it's like, why would anyone want to join the Boy Scouts when they have the option to join the Girl Scouts, in all honesty? The only thing I can think of is that she just wants to be with her brother, which is admirable. But because she'd been with her brother for so long and, you know, did activities with him, she wants to have the same prestige that he has. And that's fine. That's understandable. But I don't think that she should be allowed to have it. Because, again, this is an organization designed for boys to be around boys.
And, you know, if she joined Girl Scouts and then did the Boy Scout, like participated in the Boy Scout stuff on the side.
Yeah, I think she did both.
She would have all the badges and have all the scholars and stuff for the Girl Scouts, and then she could get whatever the fuck she gets out of. I don't see what the problem is with that.
And then they're acting like that you get something very specific out of the Boy Scouts that she can't get anywhere else, like job opportunities and scholarships. I hate to tell you, Girl Scouts offer the same exact thing. I looked it up. There are scholarships specific for Girl Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just a way of making a big stink about, oh, they're discriminating against us because we're women.
But no mention of if women or if Girl Scouts should let boys in.
Well, I'm sure if a boy really pressured it, they might do it. But then I'm sure some feminists out there would be like, oh, well, this is just the patriarchy trying to invade.
They're just gonna cry rape like they cry about every other time.
And see, that's what my concern also is. If they admit women in there, which would be funny since they don't allow homosexuals or atheists, that there will eventually be a case of a woman feels like she got raped, or a little girl, or a mother feels that her child got raped while she was on a camp out. It's a recipe for disaster with the way our world is today, where everything is considered rape. Me doing this video could be considered raping every woman in the world.
I'm into that.
Hey, ladies in the chat, didn't you guys feel raped? Did me asking you that question make you feel raped? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no, and type rape for rape.
We have Samantha, who's accidentally came into our channel. Hopefully She it's like, what the hell did I just get into? These people are talking about rape and they're joking about it. I'm like, I welcome people to come in here, but we're crazy. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I have no problem. It's great that this specific Boy Scout, Cub Scout group allowed a girl to participate. And I think that's kind of up to each individual troop whether or not they allowed it. Fine, they allowed her to go through this, but she had to know that this was just for boys, especially when it's called the Boy Scouts. I mean, this can't come as a shock to her that she's not going to earn the same accolades as the boys do because it was designed specifically for them. And that if she really, really wanted this prestige, she should have joined the Girl Scouts, in all honesty. And I agree with what Modern Medusa says, that, if she had joined the Girl Scouts and was doing the merit badges there, but on the side was still hanging out with the Boy Scouts and doing that, she would have the exact same thing. She would have all of the merit badges. Maybe she would have to do a couple of extra things that are specific for the Girl Scouts. But for the most part, anything that's done in one should be able to transfer to the other.
I think she was Boy Scouting.
All right, so let's go ahead and move to our last article today. God, we're going through these quick today. And our lovely Modern Medusa is going to be reading this one. Can you see that fine? Okay, she's silent right now.
I think she's calling her mom.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start reading this, and when she comes in, she can take over. All right, so the article we're reading today is How I Became a Feminist Victim. So as a female student in a nightclub, I expected to get some unwanted attention. What I didn't expect was for feminism to turn me into someone so terrified of unwanted attention, I stopped going out. In the past, someone groping me would only annoy me for a minute. That would be the extent of it. If they were being pushy, I'd go to my male friends and stay with them because they enjoy making it clear that the guy's attentions were unwelcome. And yes, other men were more likely to listen to my tall, imposing male friends than me, a shy, skinny 18-year-old girl. You could call it male privilege. I call it the benefit of self-confidence. All that was fine. No harm, no foul. That was until I discovered the now infamous Oxford feminist group, Country Living. I find that name so funny, Country Living.
Like tendencies.
I mean, the feminists are so angry anytime we use the word cunt, and yet they're using it themselves. That's just so funny to me. It was a big thing in Oxford. Everyone was talking about it. Curious, I joined. I read the posts, I contributed, I engaged in a discussion about everything from rape culture to misogyny in our curriculum. I learned a lot, and slowly I transitioned from a nervous, desperate to please gender egalitarian to a proud, full-blown feminist. And then I gained 20 pounds. Along with all of this, my view of women changed. I stopped thinking about empowerment and started to see women as vulnerable, mistreated victims. I came to see women as physically fragile, delicate, butterfly-like creatures struggling in the cruel net of patriarchy. I began to see male entitlement everywhere, which is a very good point because, when you set out to find misogyny, you're going to find it everywhere. When you specifically look for something, you're going to see it everywhere. Whether it's actually there or not, you're going to swear that it is. So it's a very good point that she's making here. The experience also changed my attitude to going out. I would dress more cautiously and opt to stick with female friends in clubs. And if the usual creep started bothering me, I became positively terrified. I saw them not as drunk men with a poor grasp of boundaries, and certainly not as misguided optimists who might have misread my behavior, but as aggressive, probable rapists. Probing rapists. If I was groped by someone, I didn't give them a scathing look or slap away their hand. And I certainly didn't tell them to fuck off. Instead, I was scared into inaction. How could I countenance? I don't know that word. Such a violation. How could I possibly process something so awful? After the event, I would go outside and cry, and then I would leave feeling traumatized. I saw the incident not as some idiot being a bit too handsy, but as a sexual assault, something scarring to dwell upon. It was something to whisper to friends in small, hushed voice, something to preference with a trigger warning. And the appropriate action of friends upon hearing this was never to question how upsetting the incident had really been. It was to sympathize, express shock and horror, and say things like, "I don't know how you cope." Not support, but pity. Anything else would be tantamount to victim blaming. Any suggestion that the incidents weren't really that big of a deal and shouldn't be treated as trauma was repellent to me. Victim feminism taught me to see my body as inviolable. Any action visited upon it was violence. Eventually, I stopped going out. It wasn't worth the risk. It took me a long time to realize what had happened. Feminism had not empowered me to take on the world. It had not made me stronger, fiercer, or tougher. Irony of ironies, it had turned me into someone who wore long skirts and stayed at home with her girlfriends. Even leaving the house became a minefield. What if a man whistled at me? What if someone looked me up and down? How was I supposed to deal with that? This fear-mongering had turned me into a timid, stay-at-home, emotionally fragile bore. Thankfully, I learned a lot from the experience. Teaching women that we exist as probable victims to the probable attack of men is not freeing or empowering. Modern feminism trains us to see sexism and victimhood in everything. It makes us weaker. It is also anathema to gender equality.
Anathema?
I guess so. I just don't know.
That's how. What?
I don't know what it means. She uses a lot of big words.
I think it means the opposite.
Probably. By the way, I find her intelligence to be sexy just by her writing alone. She's pretty good.
You want to fuck her brain?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. How are we to reconcile with our male oppressors when we view them as primitive, aggressive beasts? How are we to advance female agency when everything from dancing to dating is deemed traumatic? The answer to the problem we face as women is not to submit to the embrace of victim feminism, but to stand up for ourselves. We must throw off the soft, damp blanket of safe space culture and face the world bravely. If we do not do so now, we will consign any prospect of real equality to the ash heap of history. Modern is still gone. So, do you have any thoughts, Chechnya?
Yeah, basically feminism is basically for weak women and weak women and wicked men. Like, I'm pretty sure there are feminists who are strong, but they're strong despite being feminists, not because of being feminists. It's like, I know this girl on my Facebook who's like, oh, I'm going to like, it's like, oh, I'm gonna fix my own fence because I'm a feminist. I'm like, that's just weird. That's a weird thing to say. Like, I was never like, oh, I'm gonna play Dungeons and Dragons because I'm a nerd. It's like I just feel like doing it because I want to do it. It's not because some ideologies dictates I should be doing it.
I'm going to have sex because I'm horny. I mean, yeah, and I do love how feminists will do that. They try to signal everything as an act of feminism. That, just them taking a shit is they did it as a feminist. It's like, dude, come on.
Yeah, it's like they basically worship weakness.
Well, they do. I mean, look at a lot of what's come out of feminism in recent years. I mean, there's the whole listen and believe. That criticism is a form of sexism. Rape culture is everywhere, and even disagreeing with the feminist is an indication that you're raping her. Women are traumatized by mansplaining, manspreading. I mean, all of this is just pointing the finger at men and saying that all of the problems we have are because of you. And that even though they have more privileges in society than men, which we have proven time and time again, they keep saying that they have none and that they need more. That they need the equality that they think men have, in which they actually don't. They train any woman who comes into their fold is trained to be weak, is trained not to think for themselves, and is not allowed to question the status quo. And when they do, it's like they're geese and they start pecking at each other, pecking at the one who's questioning. Because clearly she needs to be taught a lesson. This is what feminism is. And especially now with intersectional feminism, that not only do you have to be a woman, but you have to be a certain race to be an actual feminist. And if you're not that race, then you have to do everything you can to kiss their ass for them to say, okay, now you're a feminist. You have to be a black woman in order to be a true feminist in today's feminism.
I like what Allison had to say about how like Sharia gets started, like Sharia law, like that didn't. She claims that it didn't come up just because they wanted to oppress women, but it's just a way of like trying to protect women. And like this article is basically falling in line with that. Like if instead of her like breaking out of this and realizing that feminism was making her weaker, making her more making it harder for her life to live, then she probably would find Sharia law appealing. Because look, she said somewhere like she's worried about being like whistled at or catcalled, and so she just like she wore long skirts and stayed at home with her girlfriends. Like that's. I mean, it's not completely Sharia law, but that's like it inching towards it.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good point right there. And it makes you wonder, why do feminism support Muslim when Muslims are the patriarchal society they claim to hate, and yet they defend Muslim societies at all costs?
I don't expect feminists to be consistent. The only thing I really find consistent about feminists or in social justice wars as well is that anybody who's privileged is bad. Anybody who's underprivileged, they're an oppressed minority, and we need to protect them, regardless of what the oppressed minority is doing. So far as they're concerned, like Muslims in America, they're an oppressed minority. Muslims overseas are also oppressed minority because, I don't know, foreign policy or some shit like that. I don't know, like Israel's and the evil Jews are out to get them, so we need to like protect Muslims all over the world.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, the point I was going to make about all of this, and a lot of the things that she's pointing out, is that feminism teaches women to be weak. There's another reason why feminist does this. And it's a point that I often make, that feminism doesn't actually want to resolve any issues. I mean, why? Why wouldn't feminism want to resolve issues that they claim they want to? Well, it's because it's a business. Feminism is a business because they make lots and lots of money, not just from the government, but from people, donating. Anita Sarkeesian has made nearly $1 million in donations alone under the banner of feminism. And so in order to keep the money flowing in, they have to keep having women be victims, which means that they have to be weak, means that they cannot stand up for themselves. One of the things that feminists have stated is that telling girls that they need to learn self-defense is victim blaming. They don't want women to be strong. They don't want them to be able to solve their own problems, to be able to overcome any trauma. If anything, they want them to be constantly traumatized, constantly be traumatized and see trauma in everything. Because if they feel that they're traumatized and need safe spaces, then that means that the world is becoming a much worse place every single day, and they need money to correct it.
Welcome back.
Vanessa?
Thank you. Yeah, my mom was freaking out because there's like a evacuation notice in my area. Hang on, someone else is fucking calling me now.
So feminism doesn't want to fix problems, because if they actually fix the problems they claim there are, they would lose money. Because why should we continue paying for something that we would no longer need?
Yeah, I remember watching a live stream where Bering was arguing with two male feminists about rape. And it wasn't just like rape, it was drunken sex, and whether this particular incident was actually rape or not. And I don't know the exact details, but anyway, the only information we're given was the woman was excessively drunk, and she was blacking out, and she remembers having sex with a guy and just looking at a wall and just wishing it would end. And like the two films are like, oh, this is rape, guaranteed rape. And it's like they were just adding all sorts of stuff to the scenario that they were just assuming is what happened. Whereas like Baron was saying, well, actually there's just too little information just to say that it was actually rape. And so basically what I'm trying to get at is that, like, if there's a scenario where it can go one way or the other, they're always going to go towards rape. Like, they're always going to like think that a man is harming a woman in every single situation if they can actually argue that.
Well, yeah. And, we always come back to Anita Sarkeesian saying, everything's racist, everything's sexist, everything's homophobic, and you have to point it all out. They will always see, they actually search for the injustice in their mind. And I've seen this firsthand. I've seen this with my feminist friends, that we could be watching something and they just immediately pick out something that, oh, well, that's sexist. Oh, well, that's racist. An example was, there's a book that I've written, and one of these days I'd like to release it, but it deals with a female character. She's the main character, and she says a line that she feels like the men hold her back, because she's actually a bounty hunter. But she's like, yeah, I always feel like the men are just like holding me back. And I had a female friend read this, and she's like, your world is very misogynistic. And I'm like, well, why do you say that? It's like, well, because you're saying that men hold her back. And I'm like, well, look at what she actually said. She thinks it. It doesn't mean it's true. It just means that the character perceives it that way. But instead of looking at it as, okay, just because this is what the character thinks doesn't mean that that's what the reality is, she immediately latched onto it and said that I created a misogynistic world. After that, she couldn't not see misogyny in my story, despite the fact it was about a lesbian bounty hunter. Cat the bounty hunter, that's great. I love that. You there, Chechnya? Get to think I'm talking my...
Okay. No, I'm still there. I was just messing around the chat. Speaking of the chat, like I was in NC Clark had like a live stream randomly, and she just invited. She just put it in the chat so anybody can just. She put the invite in the chat so anybody can just join up. So I was in there for a while, and like towards the end, I decided I was going to defend the chat because I don't know if you know, NC Clark always talking about how the chat is cancer, chat's terrible, chat's nothing but cancer. So I decided to defend the chat, and then she just like boots me out of the live stream.
Yeah, she's crazy. Keep your eye on her. Keep both eyes on her.
Yeah. I mean, how can I not defend the chat, man? They're my kin.
So, I guess that's going to do it for us today. It's a pretty short show today. A lot of quick articles, but I'm glad that this woman has come forward and talked about this. And I've talked to other people, such as like Sierra McCord, and she used to be a full-blown feminist and then got out of it. And she was saying that it was like, yeah, when I took the red pill and I really started to see things, I just saw that feminism was just really hateful and really did everything they could to maintain a victim status. They would constantly misrepresent any argument made to make themselves either look better or to look worse in the eyes of whoever was saying it.
Kind of wonder how many anti-feminists actually used to be feminists. I know Missy J used to be a feminist as well.
Missy J, she used to be a feminist. I believe Babbling Brook used to be a feminist. God, who else? There's a couple of people, really. I don't know if Unvarnished Void used to be a feminist. Thankfully, Vanessa never was a feminist, even when she was growing up.
Yeah, I'm surprised Warp Reflection isn't in the chat. She's always here.
Yeah, but we are always doing these different days. It's always dependent upon Vanessa's schedule. So my schedule's wide open, so I can do this whenever.
Cool.
The joys of being disabled, and I say that ironically.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I know this article is a bit old. It came out back in February, but I've been seeing this around for the last week, so I thought we'd go ahead and talk about it. Apparently, the Honey Badgers also talked about it, which is probably why it was started to be talked about.
Yeah, I saw that stream. When I brought up the stream with Bearing, I meant to bring this up. This is the reason why I brought it up. I actually forgot to say it. It's like, so I forgot who said this, maybe been Bearing, but said some along the lines of like maybe she shouldn't drink as much, or she should try to look out for herself. And then they were trying to say like, well, that's victim blaming, and they compare it to like if he got stabbed and somebody was like, well, you should have been wearing like a knife-proof vest. And the funny thing about it is like that's actually is a decent point. If you live in a world where people are constantly telling you, hey, you can get stabbed. 1 in 5 men are gonna get stabbed, so you need to like protect yourself. Try to get stabbed. You probably would buy some type of device to prevent you. You probably would take precautions to try to prevent yourself from being stabbed. And so their analogy kind of fails because there are plenty of people who do take martial arts in order to defend themselves, not just against knife attacks, but just attacks in general. And so their argument falls pretty flat. Let me put it that way.
So you back with us, Vanessa?
Yes. I'm sorry. Oh, jeez.
Oh, good, because no one really wants to watch a bunch of dicks.
You gotta have the boobs if you got the dicks.
Actually, I have both boobs and dicks.
I don't imagine that. So we did the article on the woman who became a feminist and then decided she was no longer a feminist. Did you have any things you wanted to comment on that?
That was a really good ass article. And I wish I was there to hear the entire thing. Or I think I might have read the whole thing because it was pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's basically how I felt when I was never a feminist, but I was like I listened to the things that that women talked about, about us being victims and being victims and all this shit, and made me scared and wanting to talk to people or anything. And then I realized that if you don't give a fuck, then everything's a lot easier. So that's just what feminists need to do, really, is just stop giving so many fucks.
To Tony 8353 in the chat, I'm well aware of the fact that bulletproof vests aren't necessarily knife proof, but in Britain they actually do have bulletproof vests are also knife proof due to the fact that a lot of crimes in Britain are committed with knives. So yeah, so you can buy a knife proof vest.
Well, see, maybe they should start having guns that shoot knives.
Yes.
I know you're just joking, but they actually, I mean, there are certain types of firearms that actually do go through bulletproof vests, and actually, bulletproof vest is kind of a misnomer. It's more like bullet resistant because if you fire enough rounds at a vest, it will eventually go through.
Well, I was talking to a woman on my Facebook feed, and she said that she may have been raped when she was younger, that she was drinking and she was passed out drunk. And when she woke up, her friends told her that she was having sex even though she was passed out. And she indicated that this happened twice in her life, and she really had a serious problem with alcohol. But she said that she never pressed charges, even though, and part of her wasn't even really sure if it was rape. And I told her, yeah, it's definitely rape. You couldn't have consented if you were passed out drunk. But she said that she didn't really know for sure, 100% sure, that at some point she consented and then doesn't remember it, because you can get drunk enough where you don't remember the previous night. I know I have. But she never pressed charges because she felt that she shared some of the responsibility of what happened to her. That if she didn't allow herself to get so drunk, then she may not have been in that situation.
That's I have me multiple times.
What, that you've got
where I was
drunk, or that you've had sex and didn't remember consenting?
No, neither. No, that I believed it was partially my fault, and therefore I did not file a police report.
And yeah, I have a lot of respect for her that she takes that very seriously. Because, yeah, there is that possibility that even when she was very drunk, she still gave consent. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe they actually did rape her. I mean, it's kind of like a 50-50 on that one because she doesn't remember. But here's the kicker is, well, feminists would say that she definitely got raped and that she should report it or not report it because no one would believe her and maybe go on like the internet and blast the person. But what am I thinking? The thing of it is that if she got into a car and drove the car and killed someone, even though she was highly intoxicated, even if she doesn't remember it, she's still responsible. And why is it when women have sex, they stop being responsible for their actions? And that's something that feminism, I've never heard anyone actually ask that question of feminists. Why do women lose agency when they have sex, whether they're drunk or sober? And why do men maintain their agency whether they are drunk or sober?
Because men have power and women don't, and that's the whole thing about feminists like worshiping weakness, and they basically demonize strength. Because men have strength, they're like always. If there's a chance that they could be in the wrong, then the man's in the wrong. Women are weak. If there's any chance that they could be in the right, then they're in the right.
The Quandary of Consent by Karen Strawn talks about how things might not be as cut as dry as some people would claim.
Also, like people might say that I'm victim blaming here, but I don't think men or women should get so drunk that they pass out or they get they don't know what they're doing. It's like,
Yeah.
You're putting yourself in danger. If you're a man, you could be in a situation where like you sleep with a woman and then she accuses you of rape, or if you're a woman, you could be in a situation where you sleep with a man and you're not sure if you consent or not, or maybe he did just take advantage of you. And also, people really don't talk about this much. Oh, people in our part of YouTube talk about this all the time, but there are men who get raped. There are men who get so passed out drunk, and then a woman just climbs on top of them while they're passed out. I just hear stories about it all the time where like that happens to a guy, and then he goes to the cops, and the cops just blow him off. They don't really listen to him or even try to do any kind of investigation.
Well, what about the woman? I think it was in like Oregon University, where she has sex with a man who's passed out drunk, texts her friends, hey, I did something really stupid. I just had sex with this man who's passed out. Went and had sex with someone else like an hour later. Then the next day, or maybe it was a couple of weeks later, went to the school board and said, this guy raped me, even though he was passed out.
Yeah, if the roles were reversed, I find it really hard. Like if a guy had to do that to a woman, just like went down on her while she was passed out, and they accused her of rape, I would find it hard to believe that guy wouldn't get like shot in the head. He wouldn't even make it to a courtroom. Like somebody would find him and shoot him.
Well, Prentice Reed, who was on our show last time, which the audio doesn't work for that. Such a great show too. So sad. Mm-hmm. But
it was the best show in the world.
He posted an article just today of a man, I guess it was 2 football players at a college university that were accused of rape, and then the police found no evidence to support this, and the media, instead of saying they didn't do it or that they've been found innocent of all the charges, described it as the police have stopped investigating this crime. They've twisted it around, so they're still guilty. Is this the rape culture feminists are always talking about? That if you're accused of rape, you are guilty. Even if you didn't do it, you are still guilty. Even if it's found impossible that you could have done it, you are still guilty. Some rape culture we live in.
Yeah, I remember Jessica was talking about how this woman, she sleeps with this dude and then accuses him of rape because she was too drunk to consent. But that day, the day that she slept with him, afterwards she immediately went across the street, went to the neighbor's house, and then called the cops. So somehow she was too drunk to consent, but she was, however, sober enough to go across the street, talk to a neighbor, ask them for a phone, and then call the cops.
Bitches. Oh my god.
And the craziness, the craziness doesn't even end there. He goes into the court trial, and some along the lines of the guy wasn't allowed to plead not guilty. Something weird. I don't know the exact details of it, but just look at. I don't know. I'll send Mad Cat the link, and he can put it in a low bar if I can find it.
Yeah, the low bar. I'm always so lazy about the low bar. But, that's just the crazy thing about all of this is that, and it really does come back to it's teaching women to be weak. I mean, even look at the way they argue. I mean, I always refer back to my analysis of the Lauren Southern video where urine was poured on her. But, the interview she had when she was talking to those three women, I mean, and, I sit there and I analyze, frame by frame of how these women react. That all they do is just repeat the same nonsense that they were told. They're not taught how to think for themselves. They're not taught about how to look at things and be able to pick it apart. So when someone like Lauren Southern comes along who knows all of their arguments, and these feminists are like, well, we'll just use these arguments and they can't defend against them, and bam, they do. They don't know what to do. They're lost. If feminism actually taught girls something of value, then I would be hard-pressed to say that it was completely useless. But it doesn't. It teaches them to be stupid, it teaches them to be weak, and it teaches them to be worthless. The only value they have is to help feminism as a whole get more money. That's it.
Women more power.
Well, money is power.
Money gets you power, but it's not power itself.
So, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up the show today. It was a very great show. I thank you for coming on today, Chechnya. I know that we were supposed to be on last week, but I just had so much work to do. I just couldn't do it that week.
It's fine. You're only human.
Yeah, I hope you didn't feel like I was blowing you off. I was just I was kind of worried about that when I sent you a message. It's like, we're not doing it this week.
It's fine. I understand things happen. I don't really take YouTube that seriously.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not making any money from it, so that's probably why I don't take it seriously.
Same.
Well, I've made about $40 so far.
Damn.
Over the last 2 years, mind you, but
wow.
I'm getting there. I'm starting to see things rise for me. As I get my play out, I think that's going to get me a lot of attention.
Yeah, I think you've made more money doing this than I've made money doing music, so you're streets ahead of me.
Well, get that video camera you're talking about and start shooting videos of playing guitar.
Yeah, with the baby oil and the thong.
I don't know that you could play a guitar using a baby oil, but sure, why not? I mean, I guess you need a G-string to play the guitar, right?
Yes, you do need a G-string.
That's an old joke.
Hey, you ever broke a G-string fingering A minor?
Not heard that one. Ooh, maybe we should stop before we really say something we'll regret. Wait, we always say that. All right, so I thank you, Chechnya, for coming on. Anytime you want to come back on our show, just let us know.
All right.
Enjoyed having you today. You are very insightful and very funny.
Oh, thank you.
I tend to only know funny people, so don't look into it too deeply. God, I'm so bad at this. I'm like so tired right now.
Fucking yawning.
Well, telling people that you're bad at this doesn't make it better.
Wow, I got one dislike from this. Jeez, it must have been because of the Tuesday show. All right, so description bar below, I'll go ahead and put Chechnya's information in here, and if he finds that article, I'll put that down below as well.
Yeah.
Be sure to subscribe to me on Twitter, also my YouTube channel. Subscribe there. Modern Medusa, you can easily find her. Just type in really sexy multi-hair color, and you'll find her. But yeah, just go ahead and search for Modern Medusa, and she'll be the first result. You remember when you first started and we typed in Modern Medusa and you're like the third result? And now you're the number one result when you type in Modern Medusa.
Wait, who the other Medusa you edged out?
It was like
there's a couple other modern Medusas, I think, that only have like a couple subscribers.
Yeah, they hadn't done a video for at least a year when she first came on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So there are the articles down below. Also check out my Patreon. If you like what I'm doing and you want to see me do more of it, consider just leaving me a tip. $1 goes a long way for me. I am trying to save up to help with my medical condition. I don't know if there's anything that can be done for me, but certainly if I had money, I could try to find some sort of treatment to help me in my day-to-day life. I'm also trying to save up for a new computer. I still have components that are at least 10 years old. It's pretty old, but it works for now. But if I get a new computer, that can make me do better videos, which might be able to raise more money for Patreon. Not comfortable doing Patreon? Completely understandable. Consider buying my book. It's 14th century vampires, bubonic plague, lots of fun. It's about 5 male characters, and there is not one female character in there that's considered a main character or even supporting character. They're all minor characters. So if you don't want to read about some heroic woman saving the day, blah, blah, blah bullshit, my book is perfect for you. Plus it has vampires. So who doesn't love vampires? First book is free to download. Read it. You like it. Consider leaving me a review. That helps me out a lot because then it helps other people find my book. If you really like it, consider buying the next book immediately after that. It's only $2.99.
Ain't no clams getting in the way of the penis power.
Yeah, hard to follow up with that. Of course, do a search for Madman Ministries, and you can find our guest here today. You can also find a video where me, him, and Hannah Wallen had a 3-way. No, wait. No, that's not. We had a...
I don't think I'd be comfortable with that. I mean, she's a married woman.
I would.
Yes, but you have no ethics there, Modern Medusa. But no, we didn't have a three-way on camera because then YouTube would take the video down. But we did do a video together where the three of us talked. So I thoroughly enjoyed that experience. So I think it's a good video. But then I might be biased. So any final things either of you want to say before we close up?
Yeah, play Undertale, support the Kurds, and buy gold.
I love Undertale.
Actually, silver would be a better investment than gold.
Yeah, Papyrus is my favorite character in Undertale.
Yes. I love Tim. Why? I'm Tim. Oh my god. When I visited California this past summer, I saw a girl with a shirt that said, like, it was, like, for college, but it said, like, Tim want to go to college. She was like, fuck.
Yeah, Undertale is like a game that proves that you can make a social justice warrior game that's actually fun to play.
Yeah, I tried playing a social justice warrior game that was just so mind-numbing. Oh, I forget what it's called. It's called, like, Read-Only Memories. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a horrible game. You can actually choose what gender you are. And I mean, you can customize your gender. You can even determine what your gender pronouns are. I tried doing attack helicopter. Not all of the gender pronouns fit.
That is fucking oppression right there. You need to fucking get up with them about that shit.
Yeah, we keep trying to end the stream, but we keep talking about bullshit to keep it going.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes, but we usually call that the after show. Anyways, I'm ending it. I am Dix.
I'm Puss.
And I'm Jen Chesnia.
Everyone have a good day.